Yeah, hold on 1 second. 13 years ago, on this date, March 9th, 1997, the hip-hop world mourned the untimely death of arguably one of our greatest MCs. The question, did the greatest rapper of all time die on March 9th, is as relevant today as it was 13 years ago. Sure, this question and its implication causes much debate amongst rap fans, hip-hop purists, fellow rappers, and journalists alike. But one thing that is not debatable is that Christopher Wallace, a.k.a. Biggie Smalls, a.k.a. Big, a.k.a. the Notorious B.I.G, is in that discussion. Like his soul brother Tupac Shakur, Biggie was both a complex and contradictory character, although these traits manifested itself differently with each one. For Pac, he never seemed to be able to harmonize his strong Pan-African revolutionary spirit with his gangster, thug-life image. Pac's compassion for his people and the articulation of our plight through his music, along with his desire to merge himself with elements that worked against the very community he so deeply loved, created a contradiction Pac was never able to resolve. This, however, was not Big's contradiction. Biggie could care less about African issues at home or abroad, as his musical content and themes never once gave the impression that this was even the slightest concern of his. In fact, Biggie's character represented the exact opposite of such. For Big, his mentality represented the majority of what the hood produced. It was all about get yours by any means necessary, come up by any means necessary, whether it harms the community or not. Big represented the rugged individualism that truly defined what America has always been about. He represented Malcolm X's message taken to the extreme. But Big's contradiction expressed itself as a man internally living somewhat of a double life. The question surrounding whether Big actually lived the lifestyle his raps portrayed became a stumbling block for those that wouldn't let his artistic and vivid imagination speak for itself. This contradiction expressed itself in Big being forced to a proverbial fork in the road to either modify the tough, grimy image that provided the fuel for his success and go down the road of player, moneymaker, which would allow him to then transcend his tough image and merge himself with corporate America and live the lifestyle of the rich and famous, or maintain the same image of the Big from the beginning, stay true to the hood, but become marginalized. Inherently, it becomes increasingly difficult to pretend to be hungry and angry when you are a wealthy man with full access to all the material trimmings this world has to offer. This part of the good life was shown to Big, no doubt, by Sean Combs, as Big dreamed to become what Jay-Z is today. Puff's strategy was for Big to bring the hood along for the ride to success. But would the hood be satisfied with waiting in the car while Big and Puffy went into corporate America to shop? Big was a very generous individual that would have been more than happy to share his part of success with the hood. He even wanted to bring the hood with him into corporate America and shop, but this was not possible. Big's last album, Life After Death, gives us an insight into which path he chose. Big would shed the hoodie, and Tim's, leave the hood as his main residence, and become Frank White, the ghetto version of a mafia don. This character could still be accepted as tough and street, yet could justifiably rub elbows with corporate America under the guise of being a made man, a boss player, the Don. With this character, Biggie could still be Biggie Smalls in some songs, but had to share the light with Frank White and refine his content and talk to appeal to his corporate sponsors and his new friends that did not live in the hood. I think Big was fine with that, as this lifestyle of affluence and success was instilled in him by his mother at a very early age. Deep down inside, Big knew the hood only cared about him for what he was doing for them, and their love was very conditional. If you want to see the path Big would have been on if he was alive today, just look at Jay-Z for your answer. To parallel the matrix, the path of the one must return to the source, which is corporate America, who is the architect of the manufactured thug image packaged and sold to the people. Another contradiction with Big was, like Tupac, he had a soft, sensitive side to him that contradicted his tough guy image. Deep down inside, Big was a good brother. Unlike Pac, who wasn't afraid or as reluctant to show his positive nature, Big avoided exposing this side of himself and stuck to the script, much more than Pac. All I have is heat and tough talk for you, was his mantra. and Big tried not to let Christopher get in the way. But in all reality, how many of us are only one way? How many of us are not contradictory in certain areas of our life? I think the spiritual goal of each of us is to harmonize these contradictions within ourselves and grow to a place where we are unafraid to live as our hearts truly dictate. Unfortunately, at the tender age of 25, this harmony and self-reconciliation is rarely achieved. Those close to Big and who knew him will speak of a man with a heart of gold, a true friend that was loyal and kind. Those on the peripheral might see Big as a psychopathic, self-hating detriment to our community, unworthy of being honored. These streets in any hood USA does not allow for a black man to be a sensitive, intelligent, deep-thinking individual. It is not encouraged, and it is not expected. Such attributes are only admired and rewarded in the latter part of a man's life. But when you're young, in the hood, if you show intelligence, a spirit of kindness, love, and vulnerability, it is seen as a sign of weakness, and the hood elements already in place will seek to converge on that light to snuff it out. The lives lost to this common phenomenon in our community are innumerable. But Biggie had a good mother who showed him unconditional love, support, and acceptance when none of his peers would. A man who was blessed to have a good mother or grandmother, one who is responsible, caring, productive, and protective, will inherit from her a good heart. This man can only be but so evil when raised by a mother like that. His mother's love, which is the most unconditional expression of love in any man's life, will be the hope and faith that he carries into this world throughout his life and all the circumstances he faces. Such a woman was Miss Wallace. Therefore, her son, Christopher Wallace, by nature, had to have a good heart deep down inside. This heart was seen in the songs like Juicy, which gave a message of hope, sharing success, and giving back to his moms once he achieved this success. A person born to a good mother, in my opinion, can never have the heart of a cold-blooded individual no matter what. Ultimately, is not bred in them. Biggie's style, charisma, and wordplay to the trained ear was pure genius. Even to the untrained ear, his raw emotion and power of conviction separated him from nearly every MC of his era. Big's presence was felt by all who were exposed to his music. Tonight, we will look at some of Big's most memorable songs and the impact his music had on us and our culture in general. Big's story was the story of the kid from the hood that the hood forced to become what he became. His struggle to transcend that assignment is a struggle every brother raised in the hood must undertake. This struggle to define oneself is a path inherent in being human, and one that, being raised in the streets of Brooklyn, New York, produced a genius, which is Biggie Smalls, who is simply unbelievable.